Greetings, fellow gamers. I had a request for my Hero Loadout suggestions. I'm going to start with Constructors. I've kind of already done the Outlander with my Archaeologist video, and I'll put a link in the description, but here is my loadout for Machinist Harper.
Today, gameplays.
Really quick video on Constructors. I'm going to start doing a little series about Hero Loadouts. With the new Hero Loadout 8.0, things changed a lot. I never really ran a Constructor before 8.0 because I was always using Outlanders. I even did it for my Storm Shield defenses. But around Storm Shield Defense 8 in Twine Peaks, I realized I probably needed to start using a base and something to really kick my traps into high gear, because I was completing them, but it was getting way too close to not completing them. So this is who I use in my for my Constructor. This is Machinist Harper, and I have two Machinists. And prior to the 8.0, they were basically Thora was basically a reskin of this hero. But now with everything that's changed, Thora has gives you Electrified Floors, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But basically, everything when 8.0 hit, everything got a lot easier. So that's the good news. Before, when you went into your Storm Shield defense after it was over, and you had like 3 charges left on your your floor spikes, your launchers, you had to bust them down, knock down the wall, which took some time, and then put them back up and re-level everything back up. Now you just hit it one time, it falls down. So that's, like I say, that I've talked about this recently in a video, but too little too late for me. But now this wouldn't be a big deal if I'd have just been running Machinist Harper the whole time, because the durability goes up so far, I would probably be able to get 3 Storm Shield defenses before I had to replace them, whereas before it was like every time I had to replace them. That's what took so long. So this is a big deal. Your trap durability is a big deal. So there's that. Then your team perk is Supercharged Traps. Increases damage of traps affected by your base by 8.5%. And if you look up here, it says for each Constructor. So, of course, I have 5 Constructors, so I want my traps to do the most damage they can. That's why if I can get them to go into my traps, they won't get through. And if they do, it's a smasher. Something I think in the Pit Amplifier H, in my last one, which I haven't put on online yet, but you'll see. When the smashers get through there, they are almost dead anyway. Just one shot with one of the defenders with a bundle bust, they fall. So this is a big deal. If you're going to run Machinist Harper, it's because you're trying to put everything into your traps. If you got Supercharged Traps, you need to have 5 Constructors. If you don't have them, go find one, level them up. This is what I have. I have Heavy Base Kyle for Field of Base. Eliminating enemies standing on structures affected by base charges base. After 30 charges, base emits an explosion which knocks back enemies and deals 39 base energy damage in a 3-tile radius. Okay, I have this because it's just an additional little damage that your traps do, and especially in Storm Shield defenses, this thing's going to be going off all the time. If you can get them to go through your traps, this thing's going to be going all the time, and it looks, let's be honest, super cool. Electrified Floors, this is Thora, this is the other Machinist I have. Enemies standing on structures affected by your base take 12.7 base energy damage every 5 seconds. That, again, it's just a little bit more damage. They're taking honestly, Electrified Floors doesn't seem like it does a lot of damage, but it does add up over time. Mega Base. This is Kyle. This is Mega Base Kyle. It's increased base connectivity by a range of 1, so it's going to go out 1 tile farther. And if you're really strategic on where you lay your base, you can, if you know where they're coming in, honestly, I don't need it to be like back near my amplifier. I need to be right at the front so they take them the most damage coming in. And the other traps later on that aren't affected by the base will still do their damage and probably not knock them down, but they don't ever get that far. Faster explosions increases launcher damage by 17%. I never really did consider much about the launcher damage. I just needed to launch them back. It does do damage, but I just didn't count on that. I'm just trying to when I use the launchers, I'm trying to direct them where I want them to go and get them in this cyclical loop where they get launched to left, back, over, and have to walk back through and get launched left, back, over, and just keep them in a circle until they just die with the gas traps. But this will increase the damage they take from the launcher, which is good. And power modulation. Structures affected by a base are healed 4% of their max health every 10 seconds. This is like, now, it'd be better if he was your main constructor, and if you want to do that, that's something else you can do. If you want to, but honestly, most of the time they don't try to bust through your walls. I had one time in my last Storm Shield defense where they were busting against a wall, but if they had got through that, it's been a rock behind it. I don't know why they were busting through that, but it wouldn't have got them anywhere if they busted through it. No big deal, even though they didn't. So this basically is just insurance in case they get to the point where they're going to do that, or a smasher charges it for some reason. Which, if you lay your base out far enough, they shouldn't charge it anyway. Because they'll only charge when they get close enough to your base, or they get trapped and they can't go anywhere. So always leave them a way out, and they won't charge. They'll try to find their way out, or just start banging on something. So basically, this is my Hero Loadout. My gadgets are always stationary, Hero Turret, and Banner. That's always what I use. I don't usually use any of the other ones. So this is my Constructor Loadout. Now, to me, running a Constructor is your base. Yeah, your base is going to make it stronger, but I'm really interested in my traps doing the most damage and staying around for as long as they can. You can run a base where it just like Mega Base or Heavy Base, Kyle, excuse me, will extend your base out to, I think, maybe 2 tiles longer, farther out than Machinist Harper will. I don't need that. I always have in my builds where they're coming through in like a small area, and then trying to launch them into kill boxes. So I really don't need something that's going to go out really far. Most of the time they come in one place. Yeah, they may kind of split off eventually, but if you build your traps the right way, I'll maybe do a video about how I build traps and the layout for how I'm trying to get the huts to go as they come into my traps for my Storm Shield defenses. If you build your traps right, they're going to take a lot of damage anyway, minus the base. But there should be one main place where most of them are coming through. That's where you want to put your base. I hope this helps. There are a lot of other options too. If you wanted to look for another constructor and put in here, there's other options. So just go over to your constructor. And you can do Rosie. I don't use Rosie. I don't like it. I never once have used it in the Storm Shield defense when I was running a constructor. Hardware damage. I don't use hardware damage. That's like melee attacks. I don't do that. Maximum overload, kinetic overload. I don't do that either. Move creep. Now your decoy could come in handy if you get in a bad spot, but to me, if you're so close in a Storm Shield defense, you're using decoys, something's gone wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be in the trap tunnels because chances are there might be a propane husk, and if you get close enough to those guys, they'll throw it, and when they throw it, it's going to go off. It's going to blow up your trap tunnels. So to me, decoys not really that important. Increases hardware heavy attack efficiency by 65%. I don't use hardware. I don't use melee attacks. I'm a ranged person. I know the constructors have that. They're always shown with the big, husk stomper or something like that, but I don't do that. If you can, these are the things you want to include. Fully contain enemies that melee attack structures affected by base take 15 base damage. This might be something you want to do. This might be something you could add in to, I don't know, maybe where power modulation is. Whereas it's not healing it, but they're taking damage. As they do damage, they're taking damage. So it might be an option. Another decoy, increased decoy duration 1.5 seconds. To me, that's not worth it. Decreased decoy cooldown by 72%. See, that's not really worth it to me either. But I don't use decoy. If you do, these things might be the kind of things you want to add to your decoy build. If you want to build a constructor that is heavy with its decoy abilities, these are the things you want to add to it. Hardware critical rating 17. I don't do that. Lofty. Okay, this base. This is one thing I thought about putting in. So base increases building health by 28%. So this is just Kyle, I think. This is just regular Kyle. I almost put this in for power modulation. But again, they don't ever really bash into my walls because I always leave them a way out for them to get out. I don't ever just box them in, leave them somewhere and box them in. I don't do that. I've learned not to do that. Now, this is important if you don't put up lobber screens. If they're throwing stuff over and hitting your base, this might be the kind of thing you do. But you don't need this if you get them to go through your traps with a lobber shield. All these things work together. Basically, allies standing on your structures, basically it's going to heal any friendlies you have that are standing on any tile that's affected by your base. Which I don't do that. I always put my defenders back as a last defense. Decrease. Okay, these are just kind of same thing. Base increases building off the lofty architecture. This is the one I thought about doing, but I had the blue one too. Just same guy, just lower level. And all these right here can't be used because you have to have a commander with the bull rush ability. I'm already using this character. So all these things, these guys that I have, so that's pretty much it. As far as the constructors I have, there are other constructors out there. You can just play around with it. Go look in your collection book and see which constructors give you what abilities, and maybe you want to try to unslot one of them or recruit one of them. That's definitely an option for sure. So, but this is my constructor build. To me, this is, if you're going to do a storm shield defense, this is what you need to run. This has been that's just my opinion. I know some people use heavy base Kyle, and I totally understand why they would do that. You just put Machinist Harper in a support position, and she will give you this ability, but it'll be like 17.5% or something like that. It's not as good. I want this to stay. I want my traps to stay around as long as possible, because number one, it decreases the amount you have to farm for new materials to build new traps. And you don't have to bust stuff down, which isn't really a big deal anymore. As I said, 8.0, now you just hit it one time and knocks it over. But before, it was a big deal. You sit there going, boing, 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 and you sit there just hitting it, the critical spot, over and over and over again. You do that for hours. You do it for absolutely hours, and it was a pain in the rear end. Now you hit it, boing, boing, you just start walking down the line, and just knocking down walls one hit. It's not as big a deal anymore. Still, I want this trap durability because it decreases the amount you have to farm. And literally, between Storm Shield Defenses and Twine Peaks, I farmed for 2 weeks when I was running my Outlander. I farmed for 2 weeks to get materials to build enough traps to go repopulate my traps and my Storm Shield Defense so I could try again. And then, when I got to 9, I failed twice. So we're talking months doing this. If I'd have just had this, I could have made a few changes and instantly, right after I failed, done it again and probably learned from my mistakes and beat the Storm Shield Defense. But I didn't. I was being a knucklehead. I'm very loyal to my heroes. I really like Jess. She brought me a long way, probably 95% of the game. But Harper got me over the finish line. So anyway, got any questions, comments, put them down below, and I will do everything I can to help you guys, because it's an awesome game. And I know some things in this game, it's like, yeah, sometimes I needed help too. I looked stuff up. But there's also, times when you just need to learn it for yourself. You learn lessons better by yourself, and that stuff will come. But yeah, if you really want to play around with your Constructor Loadout, you can probably come up with some pretty cool groupings. And if you come up with one that really works well for you, post it below. I'd like to try it maybe myself. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Click the profile picture in the upper left-hand corner to subscribe and join Team Mookie. Check out our other playlist videos. I'll see you soon.